Hey man, what's the hardest thing you can play, bro? Is probably what someone has asked you throughout your musician career. Why? I don't know. People tend to be attracted to things that are hard. Let me rephrase this. People are attracted to things that are difficult, things that are hard to do, things that require a lot of practice, a lot of hours that have to be put in them that they haven't put in yet, or probably never will. That's why they want to see you do it, to kind of relieve the tension that they have been holding in. So if I come up to you and I'm like, play something hard, the hardest thing you can play. As a guitarist, or whatever instrument you play, you're gonna blank. You're not gonna know what to play unless you have an arsenal in your head and you're like, okay, I'll just pull out this solo. Good for you. But most people will blank. I used to blank all the time. Not anymore, because I have found something that I found myself to be very challenging to play, and I can't really play it that well. And this video is gonna be about it. Let me show it to you, and then we will chat. This was fun. So this is a keyboard part that Jordan Rudess, the keyboardist of Dream Theater, played when he was guesting for an Endless Sporadic, which is a progressive metal band that is instrumental. And I heard it a few years ago, and I did learn one section of it, and I thought it was very cool. And I remembered it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I should learn it again because it requires a lot of dexterity and fastness on the fretboard. So that's what I want to talk about in this video, how I learned this, relearned it, and made it better than when I learned it in the first place, and kind of the psychology of approaching something that is hard and starting from scratch, essentially, because every time you learn something, you're starting from scratch. But you have to trust the process, and this is my process. So the date was approximately 2 weeks ago. I had remembered that this exists, and I was like, hey, you should learn this again. It's good for dexterity, it's good for technique. Why not do it? I kind of have to do things like this maybe once a year just to keep myself on my toes, to keep my technique fresh on the guitar. So why not? Let's do it. So I pulled up the song and put it in the DAW. And I'm like, wow, this is faster than I remember. I believe it's at 144 BPM. Sucks. I can't play it that fast. So I gave up on that speed and started from scratch, which is slower. So step one of this process is actually not playing anything and just kind of listening to it over and over again to make sure that my ears know what's happening. Because you do have to walk in order to run, but you also have to know what walking looks like before you walk. And this is kind of what walking looks like. You have to listen to the song and know what it's supposed to sound like before actually attempting it. So I listened to it many a times. And after listening to it many a times, I realized something. This is hard. And that brings us to step 2, which is compartmentalizing it, or splitting it in parts, which are equal. They don't have to be equal, actually, unlike humans. So you probably already picked up on this, but this whole thing is the same thing, but it's just played in different positions. It's played in different keys. And because of that, it makes it much more easier than if it was all different. So that's part 1 of the decompartmentalization. So this is part 1 of the decompartmentalization part. Fuck this sentence. So here's the trick. You only have to learn one of them, and then all the shapes are going to transfer over to the other parts. So we're good here. We learn one of them, we're good to go. So in order to learn one of them, guess what we have to do? Guess. Good job. We have to split it in other parts. So let's take one of these parts and dissect it and see what it's made out of, right? It's made out of notes, musical notes. Yes. This is it. Yes, I know. Now, what's interesting is this is also played the same way up an octave. So we don't even have to learn anything new. We just have to transpose this up a whole octave, and we will get this, right? Let's play it right here. Now I believe Jordan plays it a bit varied here, a bit varied here, but I just stuck with the same because first of all, I did not want to learn the variation. Second, I just wanted to do it the easy way. Third, because I don't hate myself that much. I just hate myself a little bit. So this is the first section, octave. And now we go into this thing. These are essentially just triads and arpeggios, which are all shapes. And all these shapes are shapes. So once you know the shapes, you can move these shapes around and it's going to be easier than if you don't know the shapes. You can learn it note by ear. That's completely fine. You can learn tabs. That's completely fine. But the more you do this type of stuff, the more you learn that the shapes exist and they can help you. Essentially, 4 parts that have 3 parts each. So it's 12 parts. But these 12 parts are only 3 parts that are repeated in different spots. So it's not as hard as it sounds, and because it's played very fast, it might be daunting because it's fast. But that brings us to step number 3, slowing it down. So day 1, when I started learning it, actually playing it, I slowed it down from 144 to maybe 100 BPM so that I can hear the individual arpeggios and triads. Actually, day 1, I didn't even want to learn all the parts. I just wanted to learn one of the positions and I would have been happy because that's what I did before. I'll play the old clip just so we can compare. That'd be cool. So I figured why not just improve on that and learn all 4 parts because it's the same shit happening, you know? So most of the work here was actually done within the first 15 to 20 minutes. I had learned it all by ear again, and I know the shapes. I can play it at a slow speed maybe, and now that I learned the whole thing, I just needed to get it clean. And this is the trick. Do you want to get it clean, perfect, or do you want to get it acceptable? You really have to choose your battles. But here's the thing, you can practice something for 2 days, for 4 days, for 1 week, for 2 weeks, for 1 month, and then you can just strive towards that one good take. But I feel like if you strive toward perfection that can only be reached once, it's not as good as if you can strive for, I wouldn't say mediocrity, but like something below perfection that's still acceptable, but then you can reach oftentimes. I strive for realism, and I don't strive for perfectionism. Yo, I actually forgot to mention that I only played it at 135 BPM. I didn't even play it at full speed, which is 144. So that's 9 BPM. You do math, right? So I managed to play it at full speed, but I did not manage to play it at full speed consistently decent. So I was like, 135 is fine with me. I'm sorry, Jordan Rudess. I have self-respect. So I think we're at step 4 now, which is practice, repetition. Just doing it over and over again. I switched guitars because this one feels better for the job, I guess. The frets make it a bit more ergonomic. I love using that word once a year. I would say there are different types of hard. You have technically hard, you have rhythmically hard, you have just straight fast, dynamically hard, a lot of dynamics, or you can have all of the above. So this specific one has fast, it has one technique, which is alternate picking. At least that's the technique I chose. I think it's the most fitting. And it has one rhythm, which is 16th notes, which is 4 notes per beat. You got the point. So that makes it this type of hard. Could it be some other type of hard? Sure. Are there any other harder things that I could probably play? Sure. But I'm not making a pie chart. I'm not making an Excel sheet of things that are hard. This is just a good title for this video, right? If you want to take a gander at this yourself, I have some free tabs in the description. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I know. They're not necessarily free because you have to give me your email to get the tabs, which is worse than paying for them because that means you're on my mailing list and I'm going to try to sell you things in emails. But such is the price of life.
You don't have to look at me like that. I know it's confusing. The camera is confusing because you're a cat. Oh yeah, bless you.
So step 4, I put all the repetitions in, but because I'm annoying, I wanted to do it looking at the camera without blinking. So that added more repetitions. And the way I practiced for that was I started not looking at the keyboard, the fretboard. I started closing my eyes when I'm playing it. I started looking away, getting distracted. I started looking at my phone. I started watching videos when practicing it. That takes a lot of your mind energy away and puts a lot of muscle memory energy in. So your muscle memory is working and your brain isn't working much anymore, which makes it easy to just zone out and play it. Would I be able to play it cleaner if I did look at the fretboard? Yes. Do I want to play it cleaner? No. I just want to look cool. Anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you. If you're wondering, wow, Rudy is so good at guitar, I wish I was that good. Well, you actually can be this good if you put in the hours, but not just any hours. You have to put in quality hours. And that's why I have 5.5 hours for you in my guitar course. That'll take you through my process of how to learn solos or how to create solos. And you can learn the theory, you can learn the techniques, you can learn the psychology behind every technique, why we do things, why things sound a certain way. You'll be able to learn solos by ear, even if they're not guitar, just like I did with this. You'll be able to create your own solos from your head onto the guitar, which a lot of people struggle with. And on top of all of that, you would have supported me, which is the biggest gift of them all. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.